Are you struggling with addiction or know somebody who is? Well, it is never too late to get the help you need to get back on your feet and live a life that you are proud of. Legacy Village Recovery Centers and Sober Living in Bakersfield, they can be your first step in healing and help you improve your life. I talked with the CEO about his own personal struggles with addiction and hopes of inspiring others. Being honest with yourself and with others is the first step of recovery, and Legacy Village in Bakersfield is here to help you do that. Joining us now is the CEO, Dennis Farmer. Dennis, great to see you.
Thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us at this beautiful facility. Remind folks about Legacy Village and what you offer.
Sure. We are a full-service residential and outpatient drug and alcohol treatment center. Offer various levels of care here, starting out with the most intense, which of course is residential treatment, all the way through outpatient and sober living services.
Yes, and so addiction is complex, but I know you've been very honest about your personal experience. Can you share with us when you knew that you had a problem?
I have. You know, it's a progression, and it takes a long time for some people to realize that there's an issue. A good majority of my 20s, I had no idea that I had a problem, even though I was drinking daily. I didn't have the consequences. I was young, I traveled, I did different things, but alcohol was always involved. It was always present. It wasn't until I got into my 30s that I really started to struggle, both physically, emotionally, financially, with decisions that I was making based on my drinking.
I think a lot of people could relate to that, and a lot of people might not even know they have a problem because, let's say, they've never gotten in trouble with the law, but that doesn't mean you don't have a problem.
Exactly. You know, at some point, if you struggle with addiction or with alcoholism, it is going to begin to impact various areas of your life. More than likely, it begins with your relationships, whether it's your friendships, whether it's in your relationship with your spouse or with your children. You'll notice things there first. Then it progresses to your friends, to your employees or your employer. It is a progressive disease.
Yeah.
Much like gaining weight. You know, if you put on weight slowly over the course of a couple of years, sometimes one day you just look up and you've gained 40 pounds. Alcoholism or addiction can sneak up that same way. It gets a little worse and a little worse, but it's so incremental that we don't notice it until it's gotten to a very serious point.
So what was your rock bottom? When did you know, oh boy?
I'd lost a ton of weight. I was down to about 132 pounds. Struggled with pancreatitis. I couldn't eat anything. I had an enlarged liver, and quite honestly was very close to death. And that was my bottom. I couldn't go on living that way. I physically couldn't function that way anymore, and emotionally I was done.
Yeah.
And that's when I really reached out for help. It wasn't the first time that I'd sought help. I had sought it several times before, but not really from the right mindset. I wasn't being honest with myself. I was doing it either for other people or I was doing it for the wrong reasons. And so finally that last time, both because of the physical condition I was in and the emotional state, I was done and I was ready.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm always curious, why does it take some folks a few stints in rehab to get clean and sober? Is that okay? Is that common? Should folks not be afraid, hey, it might take you a little while?
They shouldn't be afraid of it. Obviously, relapse doesn't have to be part of your story, and there are millions of people who don't experience that, but there are also millions of others who do. You can't beat yourself up because you don't get it down the first time. It took you years, if not decades, to get into your addiction. It could very well take you years to kind of get the hang of this recovery thing, as we call it.
And that's okay. So you guys are holding their hand the whole way, even if they do have to come back. Tell us a little bit about the programs.
We do. We focus very much on individualized levels of care. We like to get to know the person very intimately in the first couple of days as much as we can so that we can craft a treatment plan for them that is going to be the most beneficial and give them the best chance of success. And so we not only work with them very intensely while they're at the residential level of care and through the outpatient level, but we stay in contact with them through a sober living experience or through when they've gone back to their families or their homes. We have a very active alumni program that encourages them to come back and not only stay involved for themselves, but to be advocates and to be examples to the new people who came into treatment on how their life has became, you know, their experience, their strength, their hope. What does that look like now that they've got 6 months, a year, 2 years under their belt?
Very, very important to have that support. And do you follow the 12-step program and AA? I know
we do. We're a 12-step based program. But we deal with a lot more than just that. We have master's level therapists on staff who deal with a lot of emotional and psychological issues. We have a medical staff that deals with any physical issues and components. We have licensed drug and alcohol certified counselors who deal with a lot of emotional issues and baggage and things. Whether or not we came into an addiction or into alcoholism as someone who's bringing emotional problems or psychological problems with us, or whether or not we've created them during our usage, they're almost always present. And so being able to address those things and deal with them while you're in this setting, while you're in a comfortable, controlled atmosphere, it's safe, being able to deal with them here really allows you to get a leg up before you go back out into the quote-unquote real world.
Yes, and I love how you're so open and honest about your story, because I think the freedom to say I'm an addict, I'm an alcoholic, must just be liberating.
It is, and I respect anybody who wants to practice their program of recovery in anonymity. That's how it was designed, and many, many people do it. For me personally, and a lot of people that I know, being able to be open about our experiences and who we are is liberating. And it's what has allowed us to continue in our own personal recoveries. I get so much gratification and out of being able to share with those who still struggle, so that they can see exactly what's possible when you start practicing this program.
Yes. Well, folks should know they should not suffer another day, because Legacy Village is here for them, and I know you're standing by waiting for their calls. Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you so much.